So good evening and welcome everyone to our fireside chat with Linda Villarreal-Paierl on how to make it as a CEO. My name is Madis, I'm the co-founder of the Female Factor, and we host these intimate sessions to give you the opportunity to really ask questions directly and have an exclusive and honest and authentic and intimate conversation with incredible role models and leaders. And we're right now literally in the living room of Linda in beautiful Vienna, Austria. And the reason why we're doing this today with Linda is that we had her as a speaker at our last Limitless conference. And there were so many of you and of the international female factor community wanting to have more time with her to ask her more questions. So that's why we actually initiated this today, and we have 1.5 hours exclusively with her to answer all your burning questions. So what's going to happen tonight? Our wonderful team collected some of your questions and expectations in advance. So I have those questions with me, and we will talk about those in the first half of the talk. And then the last part of the talk, it's really an open Q&A session with you. And for that, you can directly enter your questions on Slido. For our members who've been to these sessions, they know that we love using Slido because it also enables others to vote for the questions, and it's just a really fun tool to use. So you just go on slido.com and enter Ask Linda, and then you're right there. You can put in your question, and I will try to cover as many of them as possible. So yeah, let's get started. Linda has been a supporter of the Female Factor from day one, really. I've personally known her for 5 years now. And 5 years ago, I met her at a conference and she was on stage, and her spirit and her experience really inspired me. And right after the conference, I went up to her and I asked her if she wanted to grab coffee with me and if she wanted to be my mentor. So I'm also very lucky to have had her as a dear mentor the past years. And she's really a role model to a lot of women out there. If you've had a chance to check out her TED Talk or read her bio, you probably know that Linda is a serial entrepreneur. She's a true businesswoman, an innovation and diversity enthusiast, and most importantly, she raised 5 daughters on her way up, and she moved from the US to Austria and built a worldwide network, and is now really building the biggest ventures, the funnest win-win situations for so many out there. She's a true connector, and I'm super happy to have the time with her now, and you at home or wherever you are right now. So I would say let's get started. Linda, how are you doing?
I'm actually doing great. I will be honest, I'm a little bit nervous and excited at the same time. Have butterflies in my tummy because I think this is going to be a really interesting, and I love the idea of having all of you virtually in my living room. I'd love to see you someday in person, but at least this is a nice way to get started. So I'm excited and also honored by your team and honored by the group from the opportunity I had in August, and extremely honored that so many people have more questions. So I promise to be brutally honest.
Yes, please.
And I will speak from my own experience, and I hope that it brings relevance and supports all of you out there to come up with your own win-win factor.
Yes. So what are you currently working on?
Oh my.
What is Linda doing today?
Linda's doing a lot of things. I'm passionate about, there's 2 things. Professionally, I have quite a few diverse things. I'm currently joined a supervisory board for GVI Tech Hub in Austria, which is a division of a Tel Aviv Tech Hub, which brings new innovation. But they have a global network, which is really exciting. And I'm thrilled to be a part of that. I'm also in the process of writing a book, which again, I was asked by some of the people that had read my posts on LinkedIn, which was quite limited, but I'm getting ready to start that. So that's my new prospect.
So LinkedIn is really helping you.
By accident, yes.
Okay.
I was really surprised. I actually had to engage somebody to help me manage and maneuver through that. So my hat off to all of you who know how to work through LinkedIn, because it is an amazing, powerful tool if you use it the right way. And then the other thing that I'm really most passionate about at the moment, which I think is very relevant and something that people don't normally talk about, and I brought something for you. It's actually from one of my mentees, Valley, wherever you are, I know you should be watching, but I would like you to be a boob ambassador.
Yes, will.
What this means is, ladies, is that we all are susceptible to breast cancer, and we want to promote all around the world to please check your boobs. And to be a boob ambassador, you need to go to 𝗔𝗯ście BRUSTKREBS.AT. Take a picture of yourself. They have a filter, and pass it on. Our goal is, we started in Austria. It was sponsored and financed by Roche, who has a very big thing on breast cancer. And our goal is to start in Austria and end in Austria. We want to go around the globe. So please help me with that. That would be great. And here is your boob ambassador t-shirt. So I'm honored.
Thank you so much. You always have a lot of mentees that you support. I mean, I'm not the only one. I love that you try to always pull others with you up, so to say, because you are there, you have a seat at the table, you are at advisory board meetings, and still you encourage others to walk this path with you. Can you maybe tell us a bit about your experience as a mentor, but also maybe as a mentee in your career?
Oh my, I have to tell you, I think mentoring is the most powerful thing that you can do to give back. Mm-hmm. And as a mentee, it is the most powerful thing you can do in your career. And I've mentioned this before. There was a woman that empowered me when I found out I was pregnant at 17, and I actually thought I had a tumor. Yes, we did not talk about sex in my family. And went to the library because I was sure I was going to die because my mom had passed away. And this woman became, and it still is, a lifetime mentor. And she really helped me to understand that actually I was pregnant, and the process and to learn more about what was going to happen to me. Because at back then, that wasn't part of the plan. I was going to be a career. I was going to be a fast track corporate designer, illustrator. I had big dreams and visions, and I did not know that having a baby and figuring out that it was too late never occurred to me to do something about it. Back in those days, nobody said the other thing. You just said you need to take care of it. And I was like, of course I'm going to take care of my baby. Why wouldn't? So mentors really helped me in different processes, how to be a mother, because my mom died when I was 12, but also and there were different family members that provided that role, but also business women that I admired. And I was like you. I also asked women, would you mind having a cup of coffee? And I joined organizations as a young woman, 23, 24, and didn't realize that was where the networking started. Mm-hmm. And I would choose a woman that I could connect with. Normally it was someone that also had a baby or had a child and was maybe single and was doing something in her career or studying or in university or was working at a law firm. So I usually picked somebody that was a little bit ahead of me, and it was the best thing that could happen. And honestly, I have a mentor today, and honestly, she's 93 years old, and you met her. 𝗟𝗶𝘱,
Yeah,
founding
wow.
member of the International Women's Forum, which is a global organization. And so I'm being mentored as well, and I think it's important. I have another mentor, 𝗟𝗶𝘁 𝗟𝗶H, and she's another mentor that has helped me through a lot of things professionally and privately. So I think mentoring is valuable from both sides. As a mentee, you learn a lot from someone who's willing to take the time, and it also makes you feel good that this woman who's busy and has a crazy lifestyle, maybe because it looks like that to you, but that she still manages to take time to pick up the phone, to meet you, to call you, to send you just a love note. How are you? And sometimes as a mentor, when my mentees send me a quick note, Linda, I'm thinking about you. I have a mentee right now that just sends me so many things and tells me, I love you so much. And I need that too. And having you as my mentee, I mean, you've become so invaluable to me, not only as a mentee, but as a woman. And watching you, what you've done in the last 5 years, it just makes my heart soar. So there's a lot of relevance, but there's a commitment. You have to be committed to this. As a mentor, you have to be committed, and as a mentee, you have to be committed, and you have to be able to talk out, and you have to feel safe. Mm-hmm. If you don't feel safe with your mentor, then it's not going to work. And if your mentor doesn't feel safe with you, it doesn't work. And we don't need to go through the motions. You need to feel safe. And you also have to remember your mentor's human, which is also good to see the mistakes. And I'm the first person to goof up appointments, and I'm the first person that might forget to send an email when I intend to do it on time. But it just shows you I'm human, and I'm the first person to say I'm sorry. And I mean, how many times have I said, oh dear, modest, I goofed it up again. So I think that's really, really important. And if you're not committed, then don't do it.
Both as a mentee and as a mentor.
Yeah.
Because time is so valuable.
It's valuable. And I mean, people think it's kind of trendy. Oh, I have to meeting with my mentee, or a mentee who says someone wants to look impressive. Oh, I have a meeting with my mentor. You know what? Really? Do you really have a meeting? Are you getting a value out of that? Or is it just so that you can put it on your checklist? I love these journals that they have now where you're trying to change your habits. They're good, but I don't want to be a check off on somebody's journal. I want to feel that somebody's getting, that my time and what I'm investing, that they feel appreciated and it's valuable to them, not a check.
Funny that you mentioned appreciation, because that's also one of the reasons why a lot of us maybe want to leave their job because they don't feel appreciated by their boss or by their manager. You being CEO at 𝗶𝗋 Consulting and being involved on executive level in so many organizations, what tip would you give to leaders to lead in a better way so that they don't lose their best people?
I'm going to tell you something. This is going to be very provocative, but I do believe that this hierarchy system in Central Eastern Europe, particularly in Austria, it's got to go, ladies. It's got to go. You need to look at agile processing. And if you don't know what it is, look it up. There's a wonderful guy on YouTube. His name is Boris Kogler. Google him. He does it in English. He does it in German. Understand what agile processing means. What it means, Manas, is that you have enough confidence in your employee to give her a task, give her the support, give her the tools to be successful. Now, sometimes you may realize that that person is not actually fitted for that role. So you need to have enough leadership to say, okay, this person has a value to my company. And I will try to find and then you talk to her and figure out what she's good at and give her tasks. You may also find out she's completely wrong for your company, and you're going to have to make a hard decision. But I think agile processing, especially with COVID and how the new normal is changing, is going to become much more in demand, and you're going to have to evaluate your employees and protect them, because when you lose an employee to save your own job or someone else's job that you think needs to have that job, you're actually doing a complete disservice to yourself and to your company. And right now, your employees, keep in mind, they're under enormous amount of stress.
Absolutely.
The ones, especially ones, and I'm guilty on occasion. I also have 8 grandchildren, ladies, and on occasion I get to do granny nanny duty. And people, and I warn when I have to do a Zoom call, if it interrupts a 2-year-old's nap, I warn them and say my 2-year-old, a business junior, they're all, by the way, I call all of my grandkids junior associates so that we have a professional environment when I do Zoom calls, and I tell them my junior associate has nap time, and it could happen that she's going to wake up at 2. So I might have to do a hard stop at 2. So I work my schedule around the kids. But I understand what it means. And you know what? If a mom tells me, you know what, Linda, baby time, or I got to get my kids from school, that's okay. But be sure that you're prepared for that conference. You're prepared for your job. You're prepared for your deliverables. And just do it. And that's agile processing. Just do it. If you tell me you're going to deliver it, deliver it. Okay, you might do it 5 minutes before you were supposed to deliver it, but is that the quality that you want to give me? So think about it. What quality of work are you going to send to me? Are you going to research it and do it like within the time frame that I gave you, or are you going to do 5 minutes before the Zoom call? And by the way, I have been guilty of that. So I speak from experience because I forgot or it wasn't on my calendar, and my assistant is here tonight and he can vouch for that something fell off the calendar and I had to jump in, and I apologized immediately and say, this isn't the quality. I wasn't really prepared, and I own it. Also own your mistakes. I think that's also very valuable. So if you can own it, then your employee will come to you and say, you know what, I made a mistake, and they won't be afraid. Right now, good communication, transparency, and most important, when they do a good job and you're let them know it. Just say thank you. Thank you. I know you've got your husband. Your husband's not, we love our husbands. Let's be honest, ladies. And we love our partners. Let's be honest. But there's always one in the group that does more, whether it's male or female. And if you're the one that's doing the lion's share, then be prepared to own it and say, I've allowed that to happen, and don't be frustrated and don't take it out on your employee at all.
It's still hard. And I mean, when it comes to being a mother and having a career, I mean, you raised 5 daughters. I met 2 of them. They're incredibly smart, strong, ambitious women, also having their own families. How did you do that? Have you felt like, and how did you deal with mom guilt?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, how did I do that? What you all should know is that some women are very fortunate to find the loves of their life on one shot. One shot. I had to kiss a couple of frogs to get my prince, and I own that. I also met a couple of prince in process, but they weren't my prince. And those prince in process are the fathers, yes, plural, fathers, you heard that correctly, fathers of my daughters. And you have to know, I was also criticized. I was prejudiced because my children had different fathers, but my girls are all one unit because they belong to the belly button, which is the source of life. And only us women, ladies, remember what I tell you, we are the only ones that can pass the belly button. Men can't do that. So when you have children, they're full children because full siblings because they came out of your body. And my girls know that. So there's no half, no nada. They know they're full siblings, and they all respected each other's fathers. They were in and out of their lives, and they all knew each other's fathers. That's also was part of the program because we had to be honest about it. Good communication. So mommy guilt happened to me several times. I knew, for number one, in order to provide, first of all, I love being a mom, but in order to provide on the standard that I thought that was important and relevant for my child, I did not want to I did not want, and I respect all waitresses and all those service providers, but I knew I wanted to have my own company. I wasn't sure what exactly, but I just knew it. And I also knew I had a standard of what I wanted for my children. So at 25 with 3 daughters, yes, I had a live-in housekeeper. But by the way, I worked a second job to pay the wages for that housekeeper. And I had a third job to pay for brownies, after-school activities, because that's just how you did it. And do you know, I never regretted that, because my goal was at that time was to become a paralegal at an international law firm. And I knew that I had to spend long hours. I knew I wanted my girls at home. I knew that I wanted them in a clean environment. They had to have their dinners. They had to be picked up. And I knew I could only do that by having a live-in housekeeper. So that was my standard for my children. And I think you need to define for yourself your standard. At the same time, I was still going to school and working at night. Working and going to school at night. But you know what? Mommy guilt. I explained to my girls when they were little, mommy's got to work late at night, or mommy's got to study. And we would sit down together and do homework together. Or I was a Mary Kay lady, which in the States is a big thing, because I used to sell cosmetics, and it was sort of like Avon, Tupperware. And I became a director because nobody ever thought about the Spanish-speaking women. So I went to the housekeepers because I practiced on my housekeeper, and she said, "Can I do this?" I said, "Sure." And then I ended up recruiting, and at the end of the day, I had 16 women that I recruited in a month. And actually what they were selling, I didn't have to work anymore. I was getting an extra paycheck of $800, which was a lot of money back then. And I won a car.
Wow.
And my daughters remember, us picking up the car, and, so they were part of that experience with me. But Sundays was the day that we would go to the park. Like I really blocked my time. So if we'd go to the park and have picnics, we didn't have a lot of money, but, we'd buy Kentucky Fried Chicken, and, I'd get the newspaper, and we'd make a picnic and had a ball. So there's lots of things you can do without spending a lot of money, but you get your kids involved. One of my daughters, Renee, she was a hoot. She actually managed to set up a credit with the ice cream man. And one afternoon on a Friday, the ice cream man pulled up and stopped at my house, and he said, "Are you Renee's mother?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "She has a bill of $25. I was like, "What?" And he said, "Yes, she set up a credit because, and she said you would pay it and to come on Friday on this day because you get paid on the 1st and the 15th. And she was 5 years old.
Oh, wow. She really paid attention.
And not only that, she's generous. She actually invited the whole neighborhood. Okay. So, of course, we had to sit down and talk. So, mommy guilt, my biggest mommy guilt was maybe disrupting things or events that were hurtful for them. So, I missed certain events, and it pains me, but I had to in order to provide for them. Mm-hmm. You got to make a decision. Are you willing to sacrifice, For me, I never wanted to be dependent on a man, and I didn't want to be dependent on my dad. Why should my father pay for my kids? That wasn't in my mind. It was my job to take care of my daughter. And I also felt that if I financed my kids myself, then no one can tell me what to do on how I choose to raise my children. And my goal was to raise my children to become 5 independent women. And I used to call them my daughter companies. And all of my daughters have all participated in my charities, in my business. They all will have a mom story. My youngest daughter right now, Cindy, is currently working with me. Angelina, who's an illustrator, who I'm quite proud of her work here, has also worked for me. She does illustrations for me. Renee has also, Lauren, even Ciara. So at some point, the girls have been a part of my business. It was normal for them when they were little, to stuff envelopes, lick stuff, watch a movie, or help me with my bookkeeping and segregate the receipts. That, that was just part of a process. I always said we're a family corporation. If mommy makes money, you make money. And so mommy guilt, the main guilt was missing certain things, but I had to make a choice. And you're going to have to make a choice. Do you want to have your child have the best? And also boundaries. Your kids need boundaries. That avoids mommy guilt. I tell you, set boundaries in the beginning, because then you won't feel guilty. So, when you're trying to walk out the door, you don't have that kid clinging to your leg. Mama. My kids didn't do that. I would say, Mommy's coming back, and when I come back, you guys are going to get a treat. I got a great business, and they would be a part of it. Oh, I've got an opportunity. You know what? I might get this, and we might be able to do that. I included them. And even if as little as 2 or 3, you just bring them a treat.
That's so powerful, especially because when it comes to finances, including children and making them understand that you have to work for things.
Oh, yeah.
Your path to being financially independent, how was that? How did you do it? How did you start? And let me actually take my t-shirt.
Yes, please. I was going to say, how did I start? I started working because I wanted my own money. I was a disco queen. I know it's hard to believe. I was a freestyle champion dancer in 1978.
Oh, wow.
See,
okay.
isn't that thinking? And so in order for me to get my costumes, my older sister would sew beautiful things for me, and my younger sister would too. But the only way, and it was actually, I have to say, my younger sister was the one that would help me dress me. She was always into styling. So my younger sister would say, you can put on this outfit, and she convinced me that I could get whatever job. And I actually got my first job at Nellie's uniform, because I went to private school. So my job was to measure uniforms. One thing nobody knew, I was dyslexic. However, the boss found out. My boss found out I was dyslexic and I was screwing up the measurements, but I had a talent. I could speak Spanish. And back then, they had a lot of seamstress from Cuba, South America. So I got actually upgraded. So I was 15. I got that job because I wanted to cut my hair, pay for my own hairstyle, and I wanted to buy clothes that were in vogue, because that was part of the thing back then, was to be vogue. And so I was already motivated to be independent. I also had a babysitting business, which my older sister helped me start. We lived in an area where there's a bunch of little kids. So I used to watch her kids and the neighbor kids, and I would do crafts and activities. So even back then, when I was 14, I was already entrepreneurial. And I got my first job at 15. And then I graduated and started working in a law firm at 17. Because my dad got me a car, but I had to pay for my own insurance. So there was always motivations towards independence, I think. And it just wasn't in my DNA. I just didn't like being told how I could manage my money. Mm-hmm. Or what I could and could not have. I thought, well, you know what? I work for it. I can buy it. It wasn't always the best thing sometimes at an early age, but it's a learning process. So yes, being independent financially. And by the way, I also learned in high school, which I think they should teach it more often, the envelope method.
What's that?
You're gonna laugh. So what it is you get 5 envelopes.
Okay.
You put in what you put in your rent, your utilities, your main expenses. That automatically gets deducted from your account. And then you can have, in my case, it was girls' activities. That was for me. Car payments, kids' activities, and groceries.
And you put those away already?
Oh, every time I got a paycheck, I used to put money in those envelopes and keep it in the house. And sometimes I didn't use it. So whatever was left over, then we put it in the Disneyland envelope, because My kids, we would go to Disneyland once a year, and that was expensive. It still is. And so we would go in the Disneyland envelope. So even the kids knew, or there would be, they would say, Mom, can I have ice cream money? And I would say, go look in the envelope. There's no money there. I said, I know. No ice cream.
That is a really interesting approach.
And by the way, it's a good way of managing. Even then, you're teaching your kids. So my girls all know the envelope. They may not follow it and they may not like it. Some of the girls really do it. And I'm proud that they do it. But it's just, even back then, it was teaching them a little bit of money management.
Mm-hmm. At what point in your career did you reach a level where you were like, okay, now I'm fully financially independent. I don't need to worry about money. What did it take for you to get there? Was that in the US or when you moved to Europe?
Oh, it was in Austria.
Okay.
First of all, when I moved to Austria, they wouldn't hire me. Nobody would hire me because I was discriminated because I had 5 children.
Oh, wow. And
women should stay at home. They used to call me a Rabenmutter, which is a raven mother, who abandons her children. And why do you want to work? You should stay home. And by the way, Austria has a wonderful system, which I think is discouraging. I mean, it's nice to have, but they pay you to stay home. You can actually, if you have 5 kids, you get 231 euros per kid. So do the math. In addition to that, you get family help on top of that. Now, I never took it because I thought that was welfare and I had too much pride. I didn't know that I deserved it. And by the way, 50% of my taxes was going into it. So when that was explained to me, when I applied for it, I had a windfall. But when I figured that out, I always had a set number for me financially. It was always 2,000 euros net to run my household. Which isn't a lot. I mean, people say that's not a lot of money. It is a lot of money if you do it right. And I had to send girls to ski camps, language schools, and I love, go back to Renee, I saved money to send her to Nice for French, and I said, did you learn French? She goes, oh, Mom, I can get into the discos. I said, my oldest daughter, Ciara, did you learn anything in Paris? And she would say, oh, Mom, I can order. So, but it doesn't matter. I gave them that experience, and it was important. Lauren, my other daughter, who you've met, she speaks beautiful French. So, you just...
She used the time wisely.
She used that. But the girls had fun, and that's all that matters. But yes, I financed all of that. And it was a good feeling to know that I could do it. Mm-hmm. I knew that was... Because they wouldn't hire me, I was forced to become an entrepreneur. So in 1998, I got my tax ID number. I got a CPA. And started working. And I went out and knocked on doors and found technologies. That's why I became so in love with technologies and say, oh, I could sell that. Let me make some phone calls. And I would call people I knew in the States or in Asia. Because of the international law firm, I had good contacts and my other networks that I had built in the States. So I would check and run it through, which is what I'm still doing today pretty much. And the thing was, people couldn't pay me. So what I did was I became a stakeholder in some of these companies. And when they got their first round investment, then they had to buy me out.
Smart. That is very smart.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They didn't, and then the ones that heard about what happened, they just preferred to pay my consulting fee so I could raise the consulting fee because they were afraid that if they would have to buy me out. And in one of these companies, I got a lucky punch and made my first $1 million.
Wow.
So it was just being creative because they would say, no, I can't afford you. I said, listen, you pay the travel costs. I'll do all the work. And whatever I sell, instead of giving me the money, give me a stake and I'll help you grow your business. And now a lot of people are doing that. But I did that 20 years ago. So it was about 20 years ago that I actually felt comfortable. And then when my husband and I began our business together, which is Paierl Consulting Beteiligung, and we started collaborating. He has a brilliant mind. He's amazing at numbers. I'm good with people and marketing and looking at how we can, I would say our secret sauce is He's good with the numbers and he has a vision, and I'm good at executing and finding the partners. So we complement each other.
Perfect match.
I think so. Well, so far, so good. 20 years. I told you I kissed a couple of frogs and messed around with a couple of princes in process.
Well, it's good to know that there's hope
Absolutely.
for those who haven't found the prince yet.
There's also hope, too, as a divorced woman with 5 kids, that somebody's going to marry you. Because my husband did. He married me with 5 kids. Cindy was 3 and Ciara was 17.
That's love.
Yeah, he was brave.
Just like you.
Oh, I think we both are, yeah.
What would you say is your superpower?
My superpower is I listen to someone speak, and then my mind starts connecting where I think would be a benefit or a help for their career or for their business. I just do it. I can't help it. If you tell me you're selling soap that's hyperallergenic, I'm going to start thinking about who I should introduce you to. I can't help it. My mind goes that way. So I think laterally, not vertical. And I think that would be, and I don't take no for an answer. I don't believe in failure, but if it's a hard no, I accept it. But until I get to the hard no, I keep finding a creative solution. Like I told you previously, they couldn't pay me to sell this technology, so they gave me a stake, and then I had a big win out of that. We had a lucky punch as my husband, and we had a couple of them.
I can so second that, because every time I meet you, you are always connecting people, connecting ideas. You are a true connector. It's unbelievable.
You know what? I'm so interested in people. Well, I love people, period. Ugly people in their hearts are toxic. I always give them a chance, but you got to know when to let go of somebody that's toxic and ugly inside. Because there's not everybody's nice. I will tell you that I have not met I've met some stinkers. And it hurts me because I think you're so nice and you got so much to offer. Why are you like that? But they're damaged and there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, generally I connect. I start thinking about, this person would be great. Or if why not? Why not? Turning that into a business, though, I had to learn how to do it in a way that was a win-win, because I don't have the personality to take advantage of someone. I can't, or leverage. It's not my intention. And if it happened that way, I feel terrible. My intention is that if I bring you a benefit, then we should have a win-win. If you bring me a benefit, it should be a win-win. And I think that's that positive energy that circulates, is this win-win approach. And I would say that's also part of my secret sauce. I'm always looking for opportunities where everybody can win or benefit or is relevant or feels good, because I'm a natural, it's natural for me to want everyone to feel happy, because I'm happy. I'm a happy lady. Sometimes I'm not happy, but that's only when my kids or my husband, the ones that you love the most know how to push that button.
And trigger you.
Yeah, they can do it. And even the ones that I try so hard to get along with, even on a professional level, who I can see the potential and the brilliance, and they go in such a direction that's so wrong. And then I try to help them, and then I realize, you know what, that's not my place. If they're so resistant to me, I need to step away. They need to go on their own journey, and I'm not a part of that journey. And that's something I've learned in the last 5 years, is to know when to step out and say, okay, I'm not a part of that journey, but I'm still your friend. I still care. I'm just sorry that you're going that route. Could be easier, because I'm the one that said, please, don't go there. You're going to fall off the cliff. No, I can't look. I'm that person. Where somebody would say, oh, what an idiot. Look what they're doing. I can't do that. I will open up my mouth. Gets me in trouble too.
Well, but you're empathetic, you're compassionate, and these are all traits that I personally admire about you. Would you say that these are also some traits that can bring you forward in business? I mean, you talked about unethical or toxic behavior. Well, there's a lot of people in power who might not have the same values. How do you maneuver? How do you stay there?
That, you know what? I've gotten so good at maneuvering. I like to call myself, I wiggle in and I wiggle out. You know, I kind of move that way, a shimmy this way, a shimmy that way. If a person is so toxic, I've done it recently with a startup that could not get in, they were being blocked by one individual who wasn't even senior. So I just went to the senior, I picked up the phone and went around. Mm-hmm. And presented and then brought the right people to the table, and now it's running. So yes, sometimes that happens. I will tell you that I truly believe that during this COVID crisis, or during COVID globally, this is going to change. Because there will be no more room for someone to block people because they probably won't be in that position anymore. The strong will survive. The ones that knock on the door and aren't afraid to go to that CEO and say, you don't know me, but I've got a really good product. And I've cold called. Oh, I hate cold calling, but I've done it. Because if I'm passionate about your product, or if I'm passionate about what I'm going to present, or I'm passionate about my own company, and I know that I can do something there, or we can do something together, I'll make an appointment. I've called people and say, oh, I read this article. You don't know me, but I have this idea. Would you have time? And people do like to meet people that read an article or found them interesting. I always try to make time.
What would you say to introverts?
Oh boy, my poor babies.
Who still want to build a network. I mean, digitally, we have so many tools now, and it's possible. We mentioned LinkedIn. It's become easier to access some people. What tip would you give to introverts who are maybe not as comfortable with going out there, being on a stage, or cold calling someone?
Go to Female Factor, ladies, and pick a mentor.
We did not prepare this.
No, I have to say I do have some mentees who are introverts, and they just need to be empowered. Sometimes I've taken them to conferences with me. I've taken them to networking events. I tell them to shadow me. Mm-hmm. And what I do is I support them by introducing them to someone that I know personally that's kind and maybe will have an interest in what this person's doing, because an introvert needs practice. They just need a couple of wins where someone that actually finds them engaging, you know?
Interesting.
And I think that you can't, someone who's introvert, it's going to be so painful for them to do a cold call. I'm an extrovert and I still hate it. So yeah. I just imagine, I have a daughter that is painfully shy. And she's learned to get there and knock on doors, but it's difficult. And she's a wonderful artist. Nobody wants rejection. And usually an introvert is someone who's afraid of not being good enough, not being perfect, not having the right thing, and not being good, not being pretty enough, not being tall enough, not being dressed well enough. So what does that say? Not. That's not in our vocabulary. And by the way, that is a lousy CD to keep in your head, or a Spotify choice. You got to get rid of it. You got to dump it. You need to be around people who can empower you and people who can help you realize your dreams. And if you can't do it, then hire someone who can do it. Be a tag. I've been a tag team. I've had women tag me to go do intros because they were afraid, and then I do the intro, and then I say, okay, let me actually turn you to the brains of the group, and then roll it out so she could talk her numbers or whatever it was that we were doing. So I think you can do it in tandem, and actually put it in your budget. If you're going to want someone to help you, then put it in your budget. And I think that's really important, is know your weakness, engage someone to help you empower you, or engage someone to do what you're not good at.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of a good team. That's the beauty of a network, a sparring partner, a mentor.
Absolutely.
Call it what you want, a friend.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I think I had a lot of my questions answered already.
Oh my, is it already that time?
I love this couch conversation here.
Yeah.
But I would love to actually open the floor to everyone in our network, everyone watching. And I'm going to look at Slido now. So remember going to slido.com and just putting in Ask Linda. You can still submit your questions. We have a lot of pre-submitted questions, but you know, this is about you connecting with Linda directly. Unfortunately, we cannot have you here in the living room, but hopefully you feel connected, and we hope that you get your questions answered. So what I'm looking at right now is someone asking, what are your professional and personal networks, and how did they contribute to your success?
Wow. My networks, I am Vice President of the American Chamber of Commerce for Austria, and that has enabled me to reach out to chambers all over the world, which means all members of that chamber, whether in Austria or in other countries, you have the possibility of announcing yourself and reaching out. I think the key network, the key thing to remember is how to use your network. I'm part of the International Women's Forum, which was established in New York by Erica Freeman and 5 ladies, and it just became a global for women who are established, who are made their way, who are CEOs in all walks of life. And what we do is we promote leadership for women to empower them. That network has been more about, for me, has been empowering, and also gives me a partner to spar with, share ideas with, get to know. And they're brutally honest because they're established businesswomen like myself. We cut through the crap and we tell it like it is. May not be the answer you want, but that's good. I'm also have been a member of many women's networks and global networks, as far as when it pertained to a certain let's say a certain business that I was in. So I was part of the textile industry because we owned a company that was spinning yarns in Austria.
Makes sense.
Borkenstein. Then we were in fashion, so I had to build up a fashion network. People are still my friends. Then I was involved in pharmaceuticals, so I had to build up a pharmaceutical network. So there's women in pharmaceutical, women in architecture, women in product design. So for every single business, and we've had 16 companies, by the way.
Wow.
That we've successfully invested and exited. We did have, out of the 16, we did have 1 stinker. I'm honest about that. And 1 we did a workout. But in energy, in the automotive industry. So whenever there was a task or a technology or a product that we needed to do a rollout, because that's what I specialize is international rollouts, I would join an appropriate group, association for that and get to know the people. I even joined an association for, you're going to laugh, for, I still laugh, trash separators in the United States.
Me? Okay.
Yes. Because I represented a company called Comtech, an Austrian company, and I had to help them develop how to set up a networking system over there. So,
how did you make time for all of these networks? And I mean, what tip would you give now to women?
If you're with kids, okay, the first thing you need to do, I think moms are wonderful time managers because we all learn when we can get dressed, brush our teeth, go to the toilet, which is quite important in private without somebody not banging on the door, and make dinner or lunch, pick up the babies, feed your husband. So you know when to do that, and you know how much time you need. I am the wizard. I can whip up a dinner in 20 minutes when I have to. The thing is managing your time. So I like to get up at 6 in the morning. People say, oh, you're crazy, but that's the time that I pray. I read the papers, look at my calendar, and I like to drink my coffee in bed. So I'm doing this in bed, and then I stretch, drink my warm, before the coffee I forgot, drink my warm water.
Oh, that's very healthy.
First thing. And then I do my yoga. My husband runs. While he's running, I jump in the shower. We have breakfast. So you see, I got a lot done. After breakfast, I tidy up the apartment or whatever, or my house when I'm in Styria, and then I sit down and I do my work. Now, it could happen I have a 2-year-old, and my 2-year-old granddaughter, she has nappy time from 11:30 to 1. I'm lucky. So I know that's the time that I can call people. So I do my emails and watch what she's doing. But after 1 o'clock, I make sure that I have playtime with her. And then she helps me prepare dinner, and then I check my emails again because usually she's working on something. We have a craft that I put her to work on. She's a wonderful painter as long as she doesn't paint my table. But, there's things that we do. I hope that answers the question. So.
Absolutely. I mean, time management, and I think everyone needs to find their own scheduling tools and how they want to organize their calendar.
For them, that works. And also, going back to associations, there's some associations that sound she. Join the associations that are relevant for you. If it's women entrepreneurs, if it's women in tech, join them, write them. Try to jump in. You don't have to be at every single thing. Just let them know that you're around. And if you have the time and there's something that you want to be involved in, whether it's their charity, fundraising, volunteer. It's a great way to meet people.
Absolutely. We also noticed at the Female Factor that it's so valuable to have different success circles, we call them, for different industries. Because as you said, one day you might be in one industry, the other day you have a job, in textile company, or you never know.
I had it at one time in my career, from one day to the next, I had 480 employees, and I had to work with a union leader in Austria. Ooh. Our conversations was over schnapps and a ciggy.
Okay.
Which I don't recommend, by the way. Can go in the wrong direction, but you got to create, a comadre. I had to come down. I had to be at her level to understand those 480 employees and to understand the women who were running the machines there and the ideas. And that's when I found out that women actually have amazing solutions and were able to fix the machines because we had machines from Japan. And before the Japanese engineer could come with fix it, one lady was actually able to put it together. And I'm not exaggerating, with some crazy stuff, paper clips and I don't know what, but she made her little machine work because she wanted to go home. So you see, time management, she had to find a solution.
Brilliant. Which networks helped you more effectively?
Well, that's a good question. I would say the ones that, for me in Austria, were the ones that dealt with internationalization. So the International Women's Association here in Vienna, which is part of FALCO. Then I joined other international groups that actually introduced me to other people. And the women actually, the International Women's Association was actually more for women who were maybe expats, and it was actually, they were here with their husbands. So you ended up by accident meeting some of the CEOs or the people that you needed to meet. And there's quite a few organizations. American Chamber of Commerce was a wonderful platform, especially because it's so, I would say, flexible and easygoing and approachable that you can talk to the country manager of Oracle, who's our current president, or the country manager of Pfizer, or Price Waterhouse, or all these large corporates, IBM, HP. The women there are amazing. So you have the opportunity to really network, and it's €400 a year. So, or 400, I think 480. Sorry, I don't want to get in trouble. Susie, forgive me if you're watching. But it's an investment. It's a business investment, and participating and volunteering really helps you is what helped me. I volunteered a lot to get to know people.
Yeah, me too.
It's the best way.
It's the best way. That's true. From your point of view, because the Chamber of Commerce, that's a mixed network. I mean, obviously you have it with every country out there. What differences have you experienced in a mixed network and a female-only network? On
an Austrian-based women's network, they are women. Everybody. I think if Austria, you have to explain it this way. Austria has hierarchy, and it's changing. I've watched it change, but women who are internationals realize that it's very difficult to get into a location or a job if you don't know the right people. And some of the women organizations here are very close-knit and don't necessarily let newcomers in. I'm sure it's changing. There's a couple of wonderful women's networks that my daughter Renee belongs to that I'm really admiring. But I tend, and I recommend over and over again, go international. Join an internet. Plug and Play has a women's network which is for women entrepreneurs and startups. Female Factor.
Yes, we're international.
There's women in finance. There's women in look for international. I think if you stay local, unless you really understand the business culture here, it's currently, unfortunately, it is challenged in the sense that you will always see the same people circulating. There's one woman in particular, I think she belongs to every organization forever, because wherever I go, and I don't belong to so many, she's always there. So I don't know how she finds the time for it, but for her it's important to be seen and to be there. Now, I admire her for that, but, I think I'm not prepared to give up all my time for that. I'd rather spend my time with my mentees or doing things that are relevant. So pick and choose the associations. So my advice is this: know what you need to do to build your business. So if you have, let's use an example, you're selling purses.
Okay.
Then you need to join a fashion network, an international network, women in fashion, designers. You got to Google all that stuff. You need to find out what's in Austria, compare it to global. France is difficult to get into, but maybe you try the UK or the US to create a dialogue, Asia. Really figure out how to test your market. Second thing is, after you weed through those associations, you need to, you got to write letters and see which one gives you, interview them, vet them. You vet them. Especially if you have to pay in, you need to vet them as you would an employee, as you would buying a house, as you would anything. You need to vet these associations. And also recommendations, invitations to join. Rotary clubs are also great things. They have really nice mixed clubs. So going back to women organizations can be really great. I think this generation, your generation, organizations are amazing. My generation have been evolving. And it's also, you have to understand that the women here built a country and are a generation of children that built a country. So they went without, and a lot of them sacrificed not having children. And, their job, that's all they have. So letting go of position is also hard for them. So you need to kind of get to know who you want to be around, what's relevant. There are some good associations. There's even a coffee association here. You know, that diamonds, whatever you need, you just need to look for it. I hope that's not too broad, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys different perspectives.
I find it very interesting that you mentioned that some networks seem to be very, privileged or closed up. That's why, for us at the Female Factor, it was also important to ask what mindset you have and what values you have when you join, and are you willing to give back, not only take, which is also very important. So I think that is changing with
your generation
of millennials and Gen Z.
I tell you, that's why I love hanging out with you guys, because it's I think I was probably born in the wrong year. I should have been a millennial, because this resonates with me. Is what are your values? What type of integrity do you have, and how are you going to give back? Because you know what, you will always give back, and I prefer to give. What you give back and what you get back. I prefer everything to be win-win. I don't want to get back bad juju, and have to do the sage all over the house. No. Because you do get back what you deserve. It's just the law of life.
It's all energy.
Absolutely.
So how do you keep being organized when networking? I mean, how do you remember people and facts, and do you collect the business cards and then let them be scanned, or how do you...
I have to laugh about that because Mark's here. And I'm sure
Mark is Linda's amazing assistant and supports her in every way possible.
And Cindy, my daughter, too. The truth is, I rely on these young talents to help me. I am in contact with so many people. In fact, I'm ashamed to say that one person who reached out to me in August, she kindly wrote me and said, "Do you think you will ever answer me?" And I was like, "Oh my God." So, I rely on help, and I also rely on those people to remind me that I haven't reached out. In the old days when I did events, when you met me, I was really super organized because I had a super organized daughter, Lauren, who was able to write. She would organize the sisters because I would get overwhelmed sometimes, and they would take the cards and write down specifics about this person
on the back side
so
of the card.
I became accustomed that on big events, and I had another assistant, her name was Lisa, who went with me. We would write it down so I would remember when they called me. So if I met 30 people, it's easy if you only meet one or two, then you can do it like that. But if you meet so many and you become overwhelmed, then of course I really do try. I also learned another thing. I don't collect cards if you're not going to use them. Okay, just don't do it. And another thing that I've watched happen in the last 2 years with LinkedIn is people feel that they need to grow their network, and they send invites but not really knowing who they are. And I have to say, I would get these invites, and then I had someone explain to me, "Linda, they're trying to harvest from you." And I was like, oh my goodness. I didn't realize those things. So I think be respectful. If you know that you can't do anything and they're handing you your card, say thank you and write them a note immediately. That's what I do. I write a note immediately and say, I thought about what you said, or I looked at this. If they send you something, I'm not the right candidate. May I recommend that and try to send it out.
So do immediate follow-ups.
Immediate follow-up, because that way, the quicker you do it, the better you are.
And on LinkedIn, would you connect with someone who sent your personal note, maybe?
I prefer that. I also get on LinkedIn. I mean, right now everybody's harvesting and looking for business because of COVID, and I get a lot of emails saying, Will you join me? I can help you with burnout. And I write back and said, I'm sorry, I don't suffer from burnout at the moment, but I'll keep you in mind. You got to be upfront. Or I'm sorry, I'm not interested in the service, because you're getting a lot, and it's otherwise I don't answer them. And I think that's also not polite, but it can happen. I just think I try not to bother people if I don't have anything to give to them or to sell them or to offer a service to, or if I don't have anything to engage them to hire me, I won't bother somebody. You know me, I'll pick up the phone and say, listen, I got a great idea, do you have time?
So having a goal in mind, or having something
to say. I mean, you can also say, Linda, I want to be your friend. I much prefer that than you expect to do business with me and say, Linda, let's, like you did, let's go have a coffee.
Well, we actually have someone right now who's saying, what does it take for you to be my mentor? I'm a fellow power Latina lady living in Austria, and I have a plan.
Bienvenidos. Entonces, please call me by a female factor. I would be proud to have another sister.
Her name is 𝗂𝗂𝘁.
Her name is 𝗂𝗂𝘁. Yeah, she's one of our dear members.
Yay, 𝗂𝗂𝘁.
She recently joined, so 𝗂𝗂𝘁 we will connect you to. That's what we're here for.
Yes, I would love to have you, and we can share. I love recipes, so we can talk about, have some margaritas and some tacos.
Online via Zoom.
Yeah, until we can do it virtually, physically.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Another question would be, how can women at earlier stages of their careers advance in seniority and make it into leadership positions? What are your top tips?
All right. First one is understand that position that you want. Do your homework. Understand the environment and the people in that position. Do your homework. Get to know them. Be 100% sure that that's the position you want. And when you decide, then you need to work with those people and develop projects that is a win-win, and show that you can lead by engaging in a win-win opportunity where everyone gets a benefit and they see you as a team player. And remember, ladies, there is no letter I in team. The only letter I that I know of is in shit. So just remember, you're a team player. Also, there's another word I will let you never assume that someone is looking at you and that you've got the career of the century because somebody's blowing air up your skirt, because that happens. People do that to you because they're envious or they think that they can step on your back. So remember the word assume. It makes an ass out of you and me.
Wow.
So I just leave you with those thoughts, because when I want to hit a goal, so what I do is whenever, as you know, recently I built an ecosystem together with my daughter. I looked at the targets, I looked at the corporates, I looked at the countries, I looked at what was relevant. We sat down, we made a team, and we executed. We made a plan and we did it. If you want to become a senior in business, it's not about age, it's about performance. It's about getting the team to believe in you that you can lead them. And don't be condescending by saying, go get me a cup of coffee. That's bullshit. What it means is, I know that you're good at creative, as a creative director. Could you be in charge of putting the team or developing the concept that we need? I know that you're really good at writing. It's my weakness. So could you be the creative? Can you do the creative writing for me? And I will work on putting in the sales strategy. And then we put it together. And when you go into that meeting, you acknowledge those people that helped you in front of the corporates. And that already shows an impression, especially to me when I have to select a senior executive. I don't look about age. Age means nothing to me. And I don't care if you have 5 kids or no kids. What I do care is that you are emotionally stable in the workplace, which means you don't bring your problems into the work environment. You deal with it and you execute. So it's about execution. It's about dealing with your personal problems and leaving it at home, leaving it at the door, leaving it once you turn on your computer. It's about not getting too personal, but being kind and empathetic when somebody hurts themselves, or sometimes you just have a cry day. It happens, whatever. There's always something. Be empathetic, be strong, but most importantly, acknowledge those around you and be sure that you want that job. Because sometimes I made the mistake of trying to get a job that I felt that I deserved. And when I got it, it was like I was with the moment that I got the job and I was elevated, those people who I thought were my friends were the first ones to be my Brutus and stab me in the back. So do your research. It's just new human nature.
You know people really well. This is one of your strengths for sure. What would you say is your weakness?
Oh, I love too much. I take it.
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm passionate about what I'm doing. I'm passionate about everything that I'm engaging in, and it really hurts my feeling if people don't feel the passion like I do, or don't see what I see, or if people want to step on my back and take my knowledge, my development, my concept, which happens, and steal it and do something and try to create it. PDF everything and make sure you put your name on it is my recommendation. But that hurt. That would say my weakness. My weakness is I'm sometimes too friendly, too fast, and I open up my portfolio too quick to the wrong people.
Interesting. Is there such a thing as being too friendly?
Well, I think there's people that take advantage of women who are too friendly because they see it's very easy to manipulate them. And I mean, trust me, I've learned a long time ago, you can only get so far with me and it's over. But over the years, it took me a lot to get to that stage today. So yeah, I can get hurt and I feel sad and I have to shake it off. I love that. Shake it off.
The song.
Yeah. But I would say that could be my weakness. And also, I will confess, as a Latina, I do tend to procrastinate sometimes.
Oh, I feel you on that.
I'm really sorry. I would say that's one thing I really got to work on that's why I say for me with the cards, I do it immediately and I'm respectful to those who give me a card because I know I need to do something with it.
Which actually leads to the next question.
Okay.
Which leadership skills were the most difficult for you to develop?
Learning how to be a real team player.
Really?
Sure. I thought I had to do it by myself.
Not delegating, just
Not
doing
delegating.
everything by
Yeah,
yourself.
and you get tired.
Oh, yeah.
No, learning how to delegate and having the confidence. That's why I'm talking about this agile process. I love it today. I know it. I've learned to horn in my skills in identifying who can do what for what I need to get my job done or our job done. I determine what our job is and what my job is, and I share this is what you can expect from me. So yeah, you said team, I'm part of a team, sure, but you need to know what your expectations are and you need to know what they can expect from you. And that does take time to develop. It's not I would not say that I was automatically a team player. I thought I was till I had someone call me out on it 28 years ago. Cried like hell, but I'm glad she did it. And we're still good friends today. I still love her.
Feedback is so crucial.
Yeah, she was
Absolutely.
my boss.
Wow.
And I said, I am a team player. She goes, no, you're not, Linda. You don't need to type 100 pages by yourself and do the research. We have a whole law firm full of people. But I wanted to be a superstar, and that's where I had to learn. I don't necessarily, that's why I say, know what you want, work as a team, because I made those mistakes and I developed it.
That's very valuable. Do you have a leadership coach, or do you have a coach? Did you ever make use of that?
No.
Really interesting.
Back in those days, I had to feed my kids.
True.
And everybody, what I noticed, this is what I noticed with life coaches and coaches, were people who were executives who were no longer active and were trying to who wanted to give back, and they were very valuable. But I just couldn't afford it back then. And so what I did was I read and I got in contact with women that I admired, like I spoke earlier. I just couldn't afford it. And I don't know, it takes a lot of money. I admire these life coaches and I admire the people that can afford it, but I wasn't in that position. And I know the benefits of having a coach. So I tip my hat off to them. But again, I would vet them. Anybody that wants to make your job better or make you better, it's like a car. It's like anything you put your money into it. Please vet it. Please check it. Do your homework.
Doing our homework.
Yeah, do the background research. It might be trendy to have a guru because everybody has that guru, and then you're going. There was a thing called LifeSpring many years ago, and everybody was walking around trying to feel this energy and the power. And I remember my dad paid for me to go there, and he picked me up. He goes, "Did you feel anything?" I said, "Actually, no." I didn't even know. I even said, "Dad, you should get your money back." I'm not sure. I didn't want to talk into my inner self, and I wanted a job. There's nothing about my inner self. I just wanted a damn job, so I wasn't about to go. I wanted a job. That's all I wanted. And that money my dad got back, I was better invested in learning some skills to help me get the job I wanted. So it was just my experience. So I preferred to invest in my education. Lots of online programs, Udemy, Skillshare. There's lots of things you can do to enhance. Even I'm learning how to become a YouTube star.
Yes.
I don't know how yet, but it's on my Skillshare program. I promote Skillshare too. Mark knows all my passwords.
Hope he doesn't share.
No, because I forget them.
Well, always get your support system and have a good team.
Absolutely.
How do you deal with situations making you angry or sad in your job?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I know the last time I felt like you were sad or angry about a situation in your business, I remember you telling me on the phone, "You know what, I'm sipping my cocktail and by my pool and I just need some time for myself."
Yeah. I actually withdraw.
Okay, first step.
I need to withdraw. The first thing I need to do is I evaluate the situation. My thing is because I'm a strong personality, I always think it's my personality. I'm a strong personality. I think, I did somebody to offend. I wasn't thoughtful enough, because I would never want to hurt anybody or offend somebody. You know that. It pains me when that happens. So I reflect on it, and then when I think, oh no, they're really trying to fuck me over, then I get mad.
A Latina getting mad.
I get real mad.
Uh-oh.
And what I like to say, I was chess champion for the city of Los Angeles when I was 10, my other career. So my mind starts to play chess, and I am a queen, and I start thinking. And once I come up with a solution and I evaluate it, I either let it go because it might be not worth my time and it's too toxic, or I just take care of it and walk away.
Being strategic about it.
Yeah. And I don't want to play chess. When I tell people I'm playing chess, that's not a good sign. because it's not my character. I don't want to be strategic. I don't want to sucker punch somebody. Sometimes you have to, though, especially if they're disrespectful and they're trying to rip you off or hurt you or hurt your business. You got to protect your business and your family. And my girls will tell you, yes, nobody touches my babies. You know, when it came to my kids, Mama came out like a tiger. So as it comes to my business, nobody touches my mentees. I will come out like a tiger, or my friends or people that I love. I want to protect them. I realize, like I told you earlier, sometimes I'm not part of that journey, and that's the next thing. I have to also step back, because the one thing that I don't want to do, and this is really important, I want to share this. I had an epiphany in this situation. I realized I'm not supposed to be a part of that journey. This person needs to have this experience, this negative, ugly experience, where they're going to have some sort of negative, ugly situation. Maybe not right away. I might just be a part of it, like a cloud. I'm passing through their life.
Beautiful. And
as I pass through, I can look down and say, oh, no muy bueno. That's not for me, man. I'm going to keep on riding that cloud to the nice part of the park or back to my pool and have a gin and tonic or a martini or even a nice iced tea for her. Doesn't always have to be an alcoholic beverage, but I just keep going on my cloud and look down and say, ooh, and acknowledge I'm not part of that person's journey. The only thing I need to do is make sure it doesn't affect my professional reputation, my company that I represent, or the company that I'm consulting with, and step away from it. And so that's kind of how I do it. I have to process it. And I also talk to my mentors. My mentors, I have some too.
Yeah.
My mentors. And process it with them, and it's good to have that feedback.
Absolutely. Did you ever see yourself as a victim?
After the fact. I didn't recognize it until I got out of it.
Reflecting back on
it. And I always had there's a difference between I was going to say, maybe it's not appropriate. They might hold back on it.
You can say it in a diplomatic way.
There's a difference between having an empathetic overview about something that's extremely toxic, but being in that environment and making excuses. It's like sitting in a mound of shit. It's warm. It moves to you form to everything you want. And not till you step out of the shit do you realize, fuck, that stinks. What was I doing there? And I've had that aha moment. I'm not saying everything I don't like to sit in shit or step in shit, but there have been those times that it's happened, and then you know what? I go take a long hot bath, put the bubbles on, put the candles on, cleanse my mind, my soul, and energy. And baby, I'll put that armor back on, put the big girl chonies on, underwears, and I hit the door and I'm out there.
Yes.
And I don't stop. I keep on going. And I don't give up. I think if I was to give up and have nothing to look forward to, then there's nothing to do. I'd be bored. And that's dangerous when I'm bored. I start making fairy houses, making bread. I've been making soap.
Banana bread?
Actually gluten-free bread.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Body scrub, cocktail. I've been doing all kinds of stuff, so I have been bored. That's why I think writing this book will be more exciting. And it would be helpful if some of your ladies send in some things they'd like to hear about or topics. I might just put that in the book and dedicate it to Female Factor.
Yes, please. We would love a Female Factor section in your book.
Absolutely.
Definitely. You seem like a person, and I know you are, who always has grand visions and dreams and believes in herself and just does it and moves forward. And you seem to always have a goal in mind. what would you recommend to someone who's struggling with finding their own way?
You know what, ladies, I had the same thing, especially when I came to Austria with 5 kids. Nobody would hire me, and I was frustrated. I thought they would hire me immediately in a law firm here, and nobody would. So I struggled and I had to figure out what would work for me. I knew I wanted to be financially independent, and I also knew I wanted to get to the financial status that I had in the United States, which took me some time. It took me 3 hard years to get there. So what I would tell someone who's trying to figure out, please, believe it or not, look at Skillshare, look at Udemy, on those online platforms, and if you're good with your hands, then do something with your hands. If you're good at interior design or I met one woman who had a baby. She was an architect, and she designed a lamp. She started designing lamps, and I connected her to 2 companies, and she launched. And you know why she designed a lamp? Because it was something she could do at home. So you don't just look, I always say my kids were my muse, and they're the reason why I'm successful, is because they inspired me to be the best that I could be, because I was their role model. And I want my daughters to be the best that they can be, because they're the role model for their daughters and for and for their sons. And how great is that, to have great mommies, independent mommies, for a young man to know what it's like to grow up in a household where it's a 50-50. They're changing men. My daughters are raising really nice men. They're nice young men. They don't mind helping Nona with dishes or cooking and spoiling me, making me a cocktail. Don't tell my daughters. But
they might be watching.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, and watching, because those little girls who are 2 are going to turn into little girls that are 5 and 10 and 15, and they better respect you when you're 15, or you're going to have troubles, even with your sons. So you're their role models, and I always say, by accident, wanting to be the best mommy I could be actually helped me to be the best career or CEO by accident, or having the companies that we've had, or having the businesses that we've built together. And I say we because it was a joint effort with my husband. Mm-hmm. And he's a great partner.
So just starting, just taking a step and starting to make it
just
happen.
Do it. And call Female Factor. Ladies, it's a great platform. I'm not trying to plug them, but it's just a great opportunity. They can connect you to women like me, or call, or we can do other things together.
So my last question to you is, when do you actually plan to stop working?
Ooh, that's a good question. My husband and I actually had that discussion. He was supposed to stop working officially. He can if he wanted to, but he said he's working, and he started a company because he's waiting for me. We're thinking maybe, I don't know, 5 years. But I probably will never stop working, because if you call me and say, Linda, of course I'm going to jump in, no matter where I am. And of course we can do Zoom calls if I'm in South America, or I'm in who knows, wherever. I will do it. Or if I'm in the United States, it's not a problem. So I don't know. I would like to slow down and do fun stuff and spend more time on the things that I love doing.
Like a fireside chat with me?
Absolutely. More, please.
Well, then it won't be the last time, hopefully.
I hope not. It was a pleasure, and I hope that all the ladies received some ideas and tips, and that it was relevant for them. I was brutally honest. Excuse my potty mouth, because I know I try to be professional, but I wanted you to know that I am a real person. I do have a potty mouth, and I have experiences. I've cried. I've had breakups, and I still during divorces and difficult situations, I was still at work. I had to. As soon as I got in the car and drove myself to the office, I cried in the car, fixed my makeup. I'll always carry extra makeup in your car, or in your backpack, or in your purse when you got to do a quick touch-up.
Or next to your computer when you have a Zoom call?
Yes, absolutely.
In these times?
And don't get up if you're wearing a bikini, because I did that. I forgot.
Oh.
I was swimming and then I remembered my Zoom call and threw on a shirt and went to go get a cup of coffee, and I had to confess that I was by the pool. But they were California friends, so it was okay, but still that's not a good look. Especially I was chubby then.
Well, you are beautiful. Thanks
Thank you
for having us at your home.
My pleasure.
In this intimate setting. Thank you for being a female factor supporter from day one. And I really encourage everyone who doesn't have a mentor yet or is looking to find some inspiration or just a sparring partner, whatever it is, please reach out to us. Our next mentoring batch is going to start in January, I believe. So the new year will hopefully bring even more opportunities for you. And stay connected and have a good evening.
Bye.